is in recovery mode is boosting optimism in the frontier markets and economies like Cambodia. After being battered by the global downturn, the IMF now estimates Cambodia's economy will grow 4.5% in 2010. Local authorities are looking to cash in on that growth, saying they want to open a stock exchange by next year after more than a decade of delays. Well, Douglas Clayton is CEO of Leopard Capital and joins us now live from our Asia headquarters, as does Han De Jong, Chief Economist at ABN AMRO Bank. Doug, good to see you. Spell out the investment case, if you could, for Cambodia. Why is it looking like a good prospect, a good investment destination?
Cambodia is the most open economy in Southeast Asia, and they allow foreigners to own 100% of businesses there. It also has one of the youngest populations in Asia, with the average age of only 21 years old. So clearly it's a country with its best years ahead of it. The government is very stable and it's very welcoming to foreign investors. And there's opportunities in any sector that you can imagine there, because it lost 30 years of history. Now it's eager to catch up to the rest of the region.
But that said, there's still very high levels of poverty, deprivation. It's a country that's been ravaged by war. Are the fundamentals really sound?
Over the last 5 or 6 years, it was the fastest growing country after China in all of Asia. So it's achieved a lot in its social indicators, and per capita GDP has risen quite rapidly. So I see it as similar to many of the other Southeast Asian countries 20 or 30 years ago, and it will have a similar future ahead.
And as well as tourism, what are the main drivers of the economy?
The core industry of Cambodia is agriculture, which will lend itself very well to food processing. Other industries are light manufacturing, because there's a very inexpensive labor force. It can also develop its domestic economy. Instead of importing everything, they can start to manufacture products there.
And what about the interest from foreign investors? Where is money coming from?
We've stirred up the most interest in Europe. I'm not sure why, but Europe seems to have the most adventurous investors.
And if you do want to get in on Cambodia as an investment theme, how do you do it?
We have an access vehicle through our Leopard Cambodia fund. That's one way. Or you can wait a year and buy in the stock market when it opens next year.
Let's talk a little bit about that opening of the stock market. As you said, flagged for 2010. How do you think it's going to perform? What are going to be the major vehicles, the major companies there?
I think the banking sector will be a major sector, because there's 29 banks in Cambodia. They have an open licensing system. There's also 9 cell phone operators, and some of those are likely to list. There's a few small state enterprises which will be encouraged to list. And then some consumer companies and light manufacturing.
If you want exposure to the Cambodia story, do you actually have to buy Cambodian assets, or can you perhaps also buy other equities, of companies that do a lot of business in Cambodia?
There's one listed Cambodian company that's listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange called Naga Corp, and that operates a casino in Cambodia as its only asset. I think that's the only listed vehicle that gives you exposure.
Doug, and staying with the theme of frontier markets, you're interested in Sri Lanka and opportunities there. Spell that out for us.
Yes, next year we'll be launching a private equity fund, Leopard Sri Lanka Fund, which will have a similar strategy in Sri Lanka. It's another country that's coming out of 30 years of lost time because of their war and terrorism. But things have changed dramatically over the last few months. Interest rates have fallen by half. An investment cycle has begun. The stock market has more than doubled. So we see a great opportunity for private equity there as well.
And just very briefly, from an investment perspective, the big conglomerates like John Keel's, they would be a good way to get in on Sri Lanka.
Yes, an easy sector to invest in is tourism, because Sri Lanka has been suppressed by the bad news has sort of kept tourists away. I think they will be flocking back, and companies like John Keel's are positioned to benefit from that.
Doug, thanks a lot for your time today. Thanks for joining us. Douglas Clayton there, CEO of Leopard Capital, and Han De Jong, Chief Economist at ABN AMRO Bank.